Hey, welcome to Zach's Tech Turf. I'm sure by now you've seen just how popular PLAYERUNKNOWN'S BATTLEGROUNDS is, so today we're going to be benchmarking it with some budget graphics cards to see if you guys can run it. So, let's get into it. For the three of you that haven't heard of this game yet, PLAYERUNKNOWN'S BATTLEGROUNDS is the newest Battle Royale style game on Steam, but somehow managed to already jump to the top of the Steam charts. You're pitted against 100 players in a fight to the death until one player is standing, and things get pretty heated. I've never been a fan of this style of game, but for some reason this game has hooked me hard. Although it's just the very beginning of early access, this game is showing a lot of potential and I'm so excited for new content to be added in the future. I'm gonna be benchmarking three different budget graphics cards today. The first one is the GT 730, which you can find for 50 bucks. The second is the RX 460, which goes for around 100, and the last one is the GTX 1050 Ti, which goes for $150. All of these cards I'll have linked down in the description, as well as other benchmarking videos I've made for these guys. With that out of the way, let's clear some things up. This game as of right now isn't optimized like at all, and it's a real struggle to play it with lower end graphics cards. This is completely expected during the early access phase, so it will only get better over time. The benchmarks I'm running for every card have the latest drivers, and also keep in mind that different parts of the map run better than others. It was really hard to benchmark this game because the only way to do it is to jump into an online game with 100 other players, so I just took my averages across a bunch of tests so you can pretty much expect these exact results. The testing rig I'll be using today is my main gaming rig, which is rocking an i7 4790K without an overclock, 16GB of DDR3 RAM, an MSI Gaming 5 motherboard, and the game is installed on a 2TB Western Digital black hard drive. Keep in mind that this testing rig is complete overkill for these budget graphics cards, but I did this to ensure that there was no bottleneck and I could really push these cards to the limit. First up is the $50 GT 730, which definitely struggled to run this game. Right now there aren't a ton of settings to deal with, and after tinkering with custom presets for a while, I found out the best way to run this game was in 720p, very low, with a 70% screen scale. Here you can see that the game didn't look pretty, but the 36 FPS average was still very playable. Some of us cringe when we see less than 60 FPS, but I could definitely still enjoy this game at these settings. Next up, I tested the $100 RX 460. You guys know I love this card, and I highly recommend checking out my Should You Game with a $100 Graphics Card video. In 1080p and very low settings, I averaged 48 FPS, which was much better than the GT 730, obviously. Don't let these settings fool you for this card. This card is capable of destroying games in 1080p, but here we can truly see how not optimized this game is right now, having to stay at very low settings. And finally, the $150 GTX 1050 Ti is up. Now, I did attempt to run this game at higher settings such as medium and high, but I was only getting around 30 to 40 FPS, and I wanted to aim for around 60. I had to keep it in 1080p and low settings, and this gave me a 58 FPS average. You can certainly make the game look better if you want higher settings, but if I have the choice of 60 FPS or better graphics, I'm almost always gonna take the 60 FPS. Well, that wraps up my benchmarks for PLAYERUNKNOWN'S BATTLEGROUNDS. These tests prove just how not optimized this game is right now, but if you want to jump into the game early, then I hope these benchmarks were worthwhile. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please drop a like down below to help support my channel, and as always, thank you for watching, and please subscribe for more Zach's Tech Turf videos.